Hello, everybody. Welcome to Freestyle Talks. My name is Carlos from Maputo, Mozambique. I'm your host. Welcome to another live talk. We are very excited for some really incredible milestones achieved by this channel in this week. So we are celebrating our first anniversary of this platform. We launched and we started actually on May 23rd, 2020. So it was last Sunday that we celebrated 1 year of Freestyle Talks. And this day, actually yesterday, we crossed to 2,500 subscribers. So it's a symbolic number. It's not a huge number, of course, but it's a number that shows our growth and our effort, and it's a really nice coincidence to have this achievement of 2,500 subscribers in the same week as we celebrate 1 year of our platform. We are also very excited because we just launched our website, and we invite you to visit and to get to discover what we have for you. So it's www.freestyletalks.com with talks with Z in the end, as you can see in the banner below. We also launched a Patreon program. So if you want to support Freestyle Talks and if you want to become a freestyler, you can do that by going to www.patreon.com/freestyle talks. And you can, from just $10 a month, you can be a supporter and become a freestyler and access exclusive benefits we have for our Patreons. So yeah, really excited to be bringing this to you. 1 year, more than 400 videos, more than 80 guests. So incredible amount of work, and we are getting every time more passionate and more motivated and engaged for this and about this work. So welcome everybody once again. If it's your first time with us, please click subscribe and notification bell to keep updated, to always be the first one to know about what's coming. And we are very happy for this conversation and very excited for this one because we have a very special guest. We are going all the way to United States again. We will be watching, talking about cinema and about African culture and about America and about African American culture also in the United States with the director of a movie that is coming out shortly, Freedom of North Carolina. And our director is with us, and he was kind enough to allow us to show you a teaser of this incredible movie, just to give you a taste, and then we will bring him in to discuss and know more about his job, his journey, and his incredible work with this movie. So let me put this movie to you and share this incredible work, and we can all stay alert and stay tuned for what's coming. And the director will join us right after to start an incredible conversation. So let's check the trailer, please.
This gentleman is your new master. You going to Georgia, girl. It's time to go.
I need all this work done before Miss Ward gets back. Now get your ass back to work.
Oh, hell no. I'll kill as many of them before I let anything happen to me or my family.
I've been holding on for so long, nothing else to hold out for.
The situation you in different than anybody else's. And the only thing that didn't make me break was my faith in God. So I advise you to get some.
You got this whole thing figured out. Who else knows about this plan? All you gotta do is get it figured out.
If I take her in my house, it's on you, Billy.
I was doing this whether you like it or not.
Me out.
Good evening, y'all. Sarah's gonna be living in the big house coming tomorrow.
You just gotta trust me. I promise I can do this. Your daddy tried to do what you doing, and you know what? I hate him for it.
But I was causing no trouble.
I know you ain't gonna cause no trouble, because if you do, there's a tree out there with your name all over it.
Please. You know, somebody gonna get that woman real good one day. Let's just hope I'm still here to see it happen.
I miss Mama, Papa.
I miss it too, Tilly.
Oh, Sarah,
Yes, Miss Ward?
welcome to the big house.
Got you.
Got you, Sarah.
Now I'm in this house. They got me dressing all different. Trying to make me talk all different.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I hope you've enjoyed it. So once again, a reminder to subscribe to our channel, and if you are tuned and if you are watching it live, feel free to interact with us. You can chat with us using our chat on YouTube. So let's call and let's bring our director, our special guest, James Jones, to join us on the screen. Hello, James. Welcome.
What's up, man? How you doing, Carlos?
Thank you. First of all, James, I'm really honored having you here. I'm really proud of making this. Really excited to have you as a guest now on Freestyle Talks. So welcome.
Thank you for having me, man.
And let me also thank to Frederick Murphy, who was a connector. Yeah, he was a previous guest on our platform, and he was very kind to recommend us to know more about your work. And we did that. So we followed your page and we fell in love with what you are doing and the passion we can feel on your work and your purpose and your mission. So we are very excited to have you and to have this opportunity to talk with you. So yeah, I really wanted to start this, first of all, by asking you about you. So, who is James Jones? Tell us more about your path, your journey, your career, and your work.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I'm discovering myself each and every day, man. You know, to be honest with you. But from things I've done and what I have become, man, I'm a upstanding guy, man. I'm all about my community and wanting to support and benefit those besides myself. And I've always been kind of that creator, you know, the think outside of the box and wanting to to bring change, man. So in any way that I can do it, and where I can fit in, that's where I fit in at, man. So I've been doing a lot of video editing for some time now. I would say a good 13, 14 years of editing. And it's been only about a year and a half since I've been actually shooting videos, you know, but I've been editing and post for about 13 years, man. So that's where the love came from with that art, you know. I'm very pretty much inspired, man, by a lot of great leaders coming up, man. People that I was able to take from and be able to add to myself. So I'm all about bringing change, man, in any way possible that I can do, man. For the betterment of not just myself, but for the betterment of our people.
And let me just also invite people to follow you on Instagram. So we have it also on the banner, Freedom of NC on Instagram, if you want to follow James and know more about his work. And you told me about leaders and being inspired by leaders, and you have an amazing wall behind you. And tell me more
Oh,
about
thank
that
you.
and what it means to you. Who are them? Who are those leaders behind you?
Um,
And why do we have that?
well, history has always been big, bro, to me. My dad has always been that studious learner, and I guess it was just kind of shifted to me. My dad was a writer, a poet, and I first began to start learning about Malcolm X and learning about Noble Drew Ali and ML. I was learning about MLK in school. Everybody was, but like a lot of these people that you don't really hear about in schools, Marcus Garvey, these guys, man, that really kind of paved the way for us to be here, man. So I really look at these guys of being icons. These guys being a leader and that was willing to be able to stand out and just really kind of be right there, standing tall in what they believed in, regardless of what the world was going through and the situations that they was going through within society. These guys just stood tall and they did the unknown. And I really compared myself to that. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been that person of thinking outside of the box. I was brought up in a Christian uh family. Like I said, my father was a studious learner, and me and my sister was in some way kind of forced to go to church at times. And a little later on, my father started dibbing and dabbing and reading the Qurans, and then he'd dibble and dabble and reading the Book of Mormon. Like he was to a lot of stuff, and at that time I wasn't really into it. I played a musical instrument and I started playing drums, and then I began to start playing piano by ear. But it was just something about my father, man, and that's what kind of really gave me that spark of like wanting to know who these great people was, and I got a chance of just kind of reading up on them and just really just looking at their lives and the lives that they reflect to a lot of the millions of people around the world nationwide. I'm like, wow, I want to do that. You know what I'm saying? I want to stand for that, and I throughout the years, I just had to really kind of I had to find where I fit in. I mean, I know I couldn't be another Malcolm X. I couldn't be another Noble Drew Ali and these guys like that, but I had to fit in where I can fit in at, man. And I believe I found that niche, and that's within film.
And it's one powerful thing you just said. And let me also acknowledge our viewers, because we have Brooke Shipman who sent us a message. So thank you, Brooke. And we also have Prince Shipman, you the man, James. So God given him. Thank you, Prince.
Thank you, Prince.
Thank you for being with us. So you were just saying about that thing of having a curiosity and a need to know more about Black history beyond
Right.
MLK. So where it's more common and taught on school, and this is something we also discussed with other guests before in our channel. Um, why is it only MLK or two or three names who are very much highlighted, and I can follow from Mozambique. We can follow now a movement saying Black history always, and trying to really push an agenda that it's not just one month
Right,
a year.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So
I
so How is that evolving there right now?
I mean, it's always been I would say, just to tap in with the question that you're asking, it's always kind of been that question of, why are these only the same ones we always hear about. I've heard it all my life coming up throughout school. I have four little girls, three of them in school, so they hear it as well. So I think it's our job to be able to take it beyond that and be able to educate our young kids on who these great people are. My daughter come in my room all the time when I'm working, and she'll just sometimes look up on the wall, and and what I do a lot of times, I try to teach her different things, and then she'll ask, "Who is that?" I'm like, "That's Angela Gay." You know what I'm saying? Or, "Who is that?" And just try to, it's all about just really educating our youth, and knowing that it's beyond just that one man. MLK did some great, phenomenal things. But behind his work, I mean, you got to look at a lot of other great leaders that came before him, after him, that really shook up this world, man. And the school system in some way is just it's a bit watered down. I'm just gonna tell you how I see it, man. It's just a bit of watered down when it comes down to history, because it's not teaching our kids the ultimate truth or the reality and the stability of what history is about, and it's all about them giving their truth. Doesn't mean that it's the full entire truth, but it's all about, we're gonna teach you about Christopher Columbus and how he discovered the world, and and they don't go beyond that, And I feel that if you want to know true history, you got to know the good and the bad, And here in America, we had the good and the bad. This country here has a lot of blood on its hands for many, many years, and we just got to call it how we see it, man. So even stepping outside of that, using film and using entertainment to twine in what the people need to know, what the masses need to know about what's really been going on, and we got to make it appealing, make it very entertaining. Our kids, entertainment, that's all they about, So with this film and learning more about this film, I try to make this film so much appealing, so entertaining, where, those two or three, those youth that's watching it, I want to catch them like that. But while they're watching it, I want to educate the minds, and I want to give them a chance to be able to kind of rethink certain things when after they see this film, or even question themselves, their perspectives, their views, and how they see the world, But most of all, this film speaks of identity, knowing who you are, knowing yourself, And one of our slogans that we have for the film is basically said that, our history didn't begin with slavery. We always, it's like we don't go past that. And a lot of it deals with a little bit of school, because they don't really teach too much about slavery. I mean, they teach a little bit about it, but they don't talk about what happened before then. Us being kings and queens and ruling this land. They don't talk about the ancient Kemet, the writings on the wall, and they don't talk about none of that. So I think it's our job as teachers, mentors, parents, whoever we call ourselves, to be able to educate our kids, man. And that's where the change began.
No, I totally get that, and history can be fun. It's just a question on how you frame it and how you can look at it. So,
right,
and it's also and there's also a challenge and a call to action to all of us, in my opinion, to be proactive and go after information. And you gotta have a self-driven energy and motivation to who am I? Where do I come from? What's my
there you go.
legacy? What's my past? What's behind
Right.
me? So information is available actually on
Right.
the internet, books. It's just a question on of us being curious and awakening a side of our minds
Right.
to really go and dig deeper. And sometimes it's something in our lives or something in our journey that really
Right.
triggers that
Oh yeah.
passion
Right.
on our experience. And in your case, I can feel it was your father. He played an
Yeah.
important
My
role.
father.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you are doing that to your children now. So that's
Oh yeah. Most definitely. Most
very
definitely. You.
beautiful.
Most definitely. And I think what you just said. I mean, is that's what it all comes down to: finding out. Finding our true identity. Really discovering who we are. I have mentioned to you. I mean, I'm discovering. You asked me who is James Jones. It's like it's kind of hard to answer that because I'm always becoming. What I was yesterday is what I'm not today. I'm always becoming. I'm always pulling out of who I am, and I'm always learning more about myself. And I think that's the factor and what we need to be able to pour into our young kids because when they know their power, when they know their potential, when they know their strength and what they can do beyond all things, whew, it's beyond. It's beyond. I mean, you can't tell a bird how to fly. A bird doesn't think about flying. What it does is it leaps out there and it soars. It opens its wings and it soars the heavens. So it's same thing as an ocean. The ocean doesn't think of creating waves. It just create waves. It knows exactly who it is. And I think when we in humanity, us people of color, when we come into who we are, our true identity, our DNA, and when we get there and know that, we could be able to pull so much out and be able to reach our potential to the highest, man, and beyond.
No, I definitely, and also even before we go into our movie exactly and talk more about the movie, one other very important thing is that even us in Africa, we also don't know a lot about our history. So we are
Right.
also taught a different way, and we have a Western perspective. So we are in Mozambique. So my country is Mozambique, and
Okay.
we were a part of the Portuguese Empire, so colony, a
Oh
former
wow.
Portuguese colony. And the history we learn is mostly the same history that Portugal is teaching in Portugal. So we
Mm,
have a Portuguese very linked or a Portuguese perspective of Mozambican history.
right.
So, and this is happening across the continent. So it's all of us are also being awake and discovering and
Right.
having a sense of identity and need of to dig deeper and know more. So that's why it's so powerful to have a platform like this and connecting to people like you, because we all are sharing this energy and this uh, desire and need, powerful needs to know more and dig deep into who we
That's it.
truly are, so that
Right.
we can express ourselves. And I think also, James, parenting, I think as becoming parents, I
Right.
feel also plays a huge role on us as men, uh, because we now need to leave a legacy to our children
Right.
and give a purpose and a guidance. And I think it also pushes us even further.
That's it. That's it. I agree.
Yeah, and let me also shout out to Frederick Murphy. He's with us, so he's
Frederick,
putting
what's
a
up, man?
thank you, Frederick. And you also have another message welcoming you. So Lam, thank you, Lam, for being with us. Uh,
Welcome. Welcome.
yeah, thank you. So, how are things in America now? From Because we follow the news about racial tension, the Black Lives Matter movement. Now we are hearing a lot about the Stop Asian Hate. How are things from a racial perspective in America after Trump, so new president? Tell us more about this moment in history.
Man, I really don't deal too much with politics. But what I can speak of, um, history has always been, America has always been what it's been. Um, and I just feel, regardless Trump being in office or not, um, that self hatred has always been, the being prejudiced and racial, all the racial and the black and white colors and all. It's always been. It never died. Um, I just to me personally, I don't. I look beyond that. I don't look at a color of any individual. Um, I guess my whole thing is, man, is I treat people the way that I want to be treated, regardless of your color. Um, I'm not too much caught up into what's really happening in America, because there's always stuff happening in America. I've completely stopped watching the news almost 6, 7 years ago. I mean, I would hear it in there, pick up a paper and read, come through social platforms or social network and see certain things, but it's no cease with it, because it's always going to be, and I've just, to the point, I just kind of rised above it. I've rised above a lot of the things that you may see, things that's been going on, the protest, and I just think it's just all about reshaping our mind and thinking outside of the box. We must take a different approach to a lot of these things that's going on, right? The police brutality, that's always been. It's always been, right? Let's talk about the black on black violence. That's my issue. I mean, we get a bit kind of, when you hear about a white man killing a black man, and we get riled up and we want to protest and we want to go hard and we want to, burn every house down that we come across. But hey, I mean, we don't do that for Little John, and we don't do that for, my man across the street who just got shot down. We don't protest for that. And that's my issue. We killing ourselves out here. It's been my biggest problem, and really still can't understand it, man. If we're about black and Black Lives Matter, we got to really show it, not amongst each other, but also people that's watching, and we got to really stand on for what we truly believe in, bro. And that's how I really believe, there is a lot of things that's happening, things that's right, things that's not right, things that definitely needs to be resolved within, if you're talking about the police brutality or the racism and all of that other stuff. But I feel like we as black people, we have a bigger cause, and we must really unite and come together and be able to work together and build upon each other, and most of all, stop killing each other, because we are our own enemy. It's that self-hatred we have to kill in us, right? For me to look at you and say that I hate you, but don't know you, but because you're from a whole nother set, or you're wearing the wrong colors or whatever, I must hate myself. So we must kill that self-hatred. And a lot of it deals with going back into the slavery, and what those things was brought upon us, to hate ourselves, to deny our tradition and our language that was taken from us. A lot of that deals with that. And we still carry on that slave mentality. And until we can rise above that, I truly believe until we can, then we can rise. But for right now, they don't. I see things happen on news, man. It doesn't bother me, man. I love my black people. I love them to life, man. And I want the best for them. And because I know the potential that we have. And how I do know it, because I know the history. These great people you see on the wall, these great people that laid the lives down for us to be here, have done phenomenal things. So to really put so much power in their hands and say, oh, it's them, or it's that, it's excuses to me. We have the power we truly have the power to create, man. Marcus Garvey, he speaks about it a lot. We have the mentality to create our reality. And one of his philosophy he talked about was, if I can restate, was speaking about we're not bowing down for them. So therefore, we're building our own nation, and we have to build that. Malcolm X said the same thing. We have to build our own nation, or we have to create our own thing. Don't worry about what's going on or what's going outside of that. You do you. You worry about you and worry about what's going on within our community. And I feel like that's what it's all about, man, to me. And that's my personal opinion about that.
And that's what I really wanted, your opinion. And thank you for sharing that. And also that's why education, that's why art are so important, because they help us having a perspective. And the only way we can move from that slavery mentality we all have, even as here in Mozambique in 2021, we also have those same still residues and leftovers of a slavery mentality, and they are very present. So that's why having spaces like this of conversation, of education, of sharing experiences are so important, because they elevate our minds into a different and we grow by this experience. And let me also put here some of the comments. So people are praising you, and so Prince is saying, so tell them, James. Thank you, Prince, again. Prince Chapman. Brooke was clapping to your intervention. Ellen Risk is with us. Shout out to Ellen. Rise Up King as a comment. And also Prince is starting a campaign. So James Jones for president. I support that. So, the best president, James, let me tell you this.
Oh, man.
The best president is the one who doesn't care about politics. So
that's it.
You are
that's it.
The right way. Yeah. So when did you felt that, because you told me that you started into working with video editing. So when did you saw the movies and video as a way of expression, as a tool to be used to tell your stories or share your vision? How was your initial contact with video?
I began to start really fiddling with video, I would say around the year of 2014. At that time, I was moving, my family and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And I got a chance of just really working with other videographers, kind of shadowing them and somewhat learning what I need to learn basic wise, and got a chance of coming to some of their like commercial sets or music video sets, and I was just there shadowing, asking questions, watching how he was doing what he was doing with his camera. So it just kind of hit me, because like I told you, I've always been editing. So editing and camera is not too far from each other. So I'm all about a man that's about beating on his craft and learning what he needs to know to be as best as I can be. So I said, you know what? Let me play around. So I basically took an Android phone, believe it or not, and I had at that time was a Note 4. I believe it was like a Note 4, Samsung Note 4, and I began to just kind of play with it. I turned it horizontal and, just began to start playing with some shots or whatever. And I began to start editing what I was taking, the shots that I was taking. And from there, it led off from me doing that to people seeing the work because I would post it on Facebook and, just posting it. And people was like, hey, man, how much you charge or whatever and this. And I'll be straight up for them. I'll be straight up and let them know, like, I'm only using the phone. I don't have a real camera. I'm just using my phone right now. I'm practicing around. Oh, man, looks good, though, man. Hey, what you charge? So I began to start taking in, sales from, people who wanted like promos and commercials for their business. And I wasn't charging crazy fee. I think I was starting off like $50 for a video, 30-second video. And I was doing it with my phone. I didn't feel like I should charge that much anyway, because I was, I'm using the phone, you know what I mean? You can do the same thing, right? So from there, it just grew and grew. And I was handling my phone for a couple of years. Every Samsung that was coming out, I was adamant of getting, like, I gotta get that phone. Why? Because of the pixel rates is a little better. It has a 4K, you know what I mean? So I will purchase the phone, upgrade my little quality or whatever, and do more videos, more commercials or whatever. But it wasn't until the year of 2018. I moved back to North Carolina in 2017. So 2018, I did a music video called Freedom. And at the time, I wasn't a videographer. My man Dennis Brathwaite, phenomenal videographer. I've learned a lot from him. But he was our videographer for that shoot. So after the video, to make the whole story short, I kind of watched it over and over and over and over. Even though I wanted to see myself, I was just watching it over and over, right? And it hit me right then and there. Was like, this can be much more, or it can be much bigger. And my mind is racing, right, Carlos? I mean, it was just racing, like, okay, what am I gonna do? And it hit me like, do a film about freedom of North Carolina. My music video was called Freedom, so it was easy to put two to two together. I live in North Carolina. I haven't seen any films really about North Carolina, even though it's a lot of harsh things that's happened and it's been, swept under the rug for so many years. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna do this. And from there on, man, I went as hard as I can, calling every numbers, reaching out to some other videographers that I met in Georgia, asking them about their rates, and because now I knew that I wasn't going to shoot it, because I only had a phone at the time. So now it was like, okay, I need to get in touch with some good DPs, some videographers, filmmakers who does what I need, that does the services. And I've called, man, I probably called about 9 or 10 of them. If I didn't call them, I probably reached out to them through social network, and all of them was over my budget, way over my budget. Because this film here we didn't start with a budget. We didn't have a budget. So I was like getting a little discouraged, and I just heard a voice inside and just told me, why don't you do it? And I'm like, I'm in a way I was like, because I still don't have a camera, you know what I'm saying? And that's all I was hearing. Why don't you do it yourself? And I kind of took heed to that, man. And probably a few weeks later on, got a chance of meeting a good friend, and he helped me out to get them some equipment and whatnot, and invested in me with this equipment, and that was it. Everything else was history, and that's what actually started it, man. And going back to pretty much how I started and where I am now is also the same story I'm wanting to tell people in general, the humanity, and whatever that you want to do, you can do it, regardless of whatever tool you have or whatever you don't have. I didn't have much, but at the same time, I was very creative and I used what I had in front of me. And I believe that so much, the universe just opened the doors for me, man. And people began to start kind of blessing me, and I've been shooting ever since, been shooting ever since, man. So that
Cool.
was
And
that was my inspiration, inspiration into filmmaking, videography or whatnot, and like I said, the niche of editing is not too far from videography, so even though years ago I didn't know I would be doing this, or I didn't know I would be doing a full-fledged film, it was already in me. What I had to do is learn how to pull it out of me.
that's very powerful. So Jennifer Jones is in Freedom of NC. Thank you,
Oh, that's my
Jennifer.
wife. Yeah, that's my wife right there, man.
Thank you,
My beautiful
Jennifer. Thank
queen,
you.
man. My beautiful queen.
And it's very beautiful to see her here, present, and sharing energies and positive vibrations.
Oh
So
yeah. Yes, yeah. She
lucky man.
support me in everything I do, man. Like I wouldn't have what I had, man, if it wasn't for her, bro. Like seriously. A lot of
Lucky
people don't
man.
see the behind the scenes. I'm talking about solid, and to be able to have a queen like that, or anyone who has a dream, male figure, with someone that they can trust, believe, confidant, and not only that, support you. Maybe can't see the vision clear as you do, but still support it, is like one of the best, man. One of the best. So all loves to my queen, man.
No, I one time I heard a quote that was like a man with big dreams needs a woman with a lot of patience.
Like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
so
I
they
heard that
are
quote. Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
relate. I can relate to that, and also let me also give a shout out to Prince, who is telling King of Kings. So it's
Yeah.
for you.
Was
So thank you.
awesome.
So also, just a reminder for people to subscribe to the channel to stay tuned to the next lives and the next projects we have. Okay, uh, and and James, now moving into this story, because we already have a, a vision of why and how you started filming.
Yes.
But why this story specifically? Why a story about pests? You told me about the connection with the song, the music video,
Yes.
but why the depth and the powerful message of this story? Why you felt people needed to see this movie and get to know and discover this story that this movie so brilliantly will show us and present us?
Um, I've always been very big on history. And why this history? I guess that's the question you're asking, or why this topic? Because it's a very touchy topic. Um, I guess I wanted to go to what and a lot of us think is the beginning, even though it's not the beginning. And I wanted to base this story on, you know, this family that was stripped away from everything that they know of: language, culture, their true names, who they are, and give it to them that way. But at the same time, when people will see in more of the deeper of the film, that these people would gain back everything that was stolen back from them. Meaning that even though this film started off this way, doesn't mean that it was the actual beginning. I've been just big on just really slavery film, period. Only because I truly believe with a lot of our ancestors, had to endure, had to go through a lot of that, a lot of them. And we couldn't even imagine. We heard the stories, we've seen the movies, the documentaries, but I can't even imagine during this time and the year that we are doing this. This film is 1863, and this is a bit before the Emancipation, the Proclamation was set. I couldn't imagine living during this time, and what I guess I want people to see is a glimpse of what our ancestors had to endure, what they had to go through, especially lies right here in North Carolina. There's a lot of history that has been untold here. A lot of it, like I said, has been covered up, has been swept under the rug. You have people that is scared to talk about it, people that's not willing to talk about it. And I just wanted to be that one to really kind of stand out and just, just like these leaders on the wall and say, hey, the story got to be told regardless, and I've heard it. I've heard it over and over, even when I was in production and filming. Oh, we don't need another slavery film. We didn't seen that already. We didn't see slavery films already. We don't need it. And I understand. I totally understand. I understand where the pain comes from, the frustration. I understand where, how the individual feel. But at the same time, we cannot ignore American history. We cannot ignore this history. Regardless, they try to erase it. Regardless that they did not publish it in the school books, we cannot ignore what our ancestors had to go through, had to, the ups and the bads. There was a lot that was going on back then. But I wanted to specifically talk about North Carolina and this particular family that was born there on Hoppersville, North Carolina plantation, and what they had to go through. But the difference in what I'm sharing and what I want to kind of put out there to the masses is that our history itself, can't be ignored. We can't erase it, and for our young kids. So even with this film I'm doing, I'm making it very entertaining. And I spoke about that earlier. And what I mean by entertaining, we have music, entertainment is a force to be reckoned with, if you agree. And especially with this time of age, getting our youth involved, it has to be very eye-catching or appealing in some type of way. Because once when you try to pull them into something and getting them to watch something, it's only a few seconds if they're gonna like it or not. And if you lose them, you lost them. That's it. So with what this freedom of NC is, I have embedded it music, and we got music ranging from hip hop, R&B, gospel, country, rock and roll. We have a bit of poetry. See, I wanted to use all of these arts because that's what it is. I wanted to use all of these arts and tie it in with this education. This is what I'm using, that entertainment. And when they listening to, a hot beat, or like, oh man, automatically when you hear something that a new song that's by, if it's Meek Mills or whoever, whatever, and you hear these songs or whatever, first thing you do, you automatically bop your head. I know that's what I do. I bop my head back and forth, regardless of knowing the lyrics or not. It's just a thing that the brain, when you hear something, you bop your head. Then the words come into play. and that's where we catch them within the words, so it's basically using entertainment as that bait to draw in the fishes, that's out there, making it appealing, making it entertaining. We have a bit of dancing. That's another part of art. Our people back then, even now, was some of the phenomenal, creative, out the box people there is, right? I mean, could you imagine, Carlos, being out there in the hot day for about 12, 15 to 20 hours in a field picking cotton? If you were in North Carolina, or if you're somewhere maybe towards the east, sugar canes would be your thing, but in the hot sun picking, and all you can think of is just being, you're enslaved and you're there and you're hot, bloody, sweaty, and you picking it for hours out at the time. What our ancestors used to do, they used to create melody. They used to create music. This was a way of buy time, letting time go by. This was a way where their spirit was connected. So regardless of what they was going through physically at the time when they was creating songs right there at that moment, it took them to a whole nother place. And that's what I took from that, and I'm using with this film. So I'm bringing a bit of 2021 into 1863 and somewhat, So it's very out of the box. It's not your typical, ordinary film, And I wanted it to be that way. I wanted to be as creative as possible because I want people to think outside of the box.
And you said a lot of powerful things that there. One of the things you made me think is that slavery films, and this is something people often don't understand. They are not about slavery. They are actually about freedom.
Right.
Even if it's not the freedom of the characters in the movie, it's about our freedom. So
that's it.
So those are really about freedom. And the second thing, really powerful, you said is, and you shared, is that vision of, and that notion that it is very difficult to catch people's attention, and especially younger generations.
Right.
And I am a writer, so I am a writer myself. And one thing I often hear is that other writers are constantly saying, oh, young people, they don't like reading, and people are not reading anymore.
Right.
And they asked me about that, in my opinion, and I always said, it's not a writer's fault. It's never a client's fault. It's our job as creators to adjust and to be creative and original, to adapt and to be able to catch their attention. So people are reading a lot. People read on a different way. So what we have to do is really start writing maybe on a different way, on different platforms. On the
most definitely, that's it.
Exactly what you are doing, and that's very wise. And the other thing I'm very curious is knowing more about the process of making this movie, because you shared about the of course lack of a professional camera, a huge budget. I know you don't have that. So I want to ask you about that process, on how long it took and how many people were involved, what kind of partnerships and support you were able to create. So take us a little to that. But before I put you that, I just want to put also here on the screen a message from Prince saying that this is a must-see film, people. So we are very anxious for sharing that feedback. So take us to that, the process of actually production, team, cast, making it happen. How long it took, and when can we see it?
Gotcha. Well, as I said, I had, basically, well, a friend of mine basically, believed in what I was doing and began to start to invest into equipment. And we began to, and it was from right there, we started basically shooting in 2019. I believe it was either May or June of 2019, right? And we were shooting and at Somerset Plantation. This is the third biggest plantation in North Carolina. And it's located in Creswell, North Carolina. During the process of shooting, well, for one, if I can step back, um, first time on a real plantation, um, my feet touching the soil of this place um, was a feeling like no other. I'm gonna tell you. Um, I didn't know how to feel, but it was a great presence that was out there. You know, this is a historic place now that's owned by the state, and I don't know, it was mind-boggling. Hair standing up off your arms. It was very mind-boggling just to know that this particular land that we're on, well, was basically had hundreds of enslaved people. Hundreds. This is the third biggest plantation. You can look it up, and it's called Summerset Plantation in Creswell, North Carolina. And it was just mind-boggling, man. It was very mind-boggling. That moment of just feeling what you can feel was I guess something I've never felt before. And like I said, I'm very spiritual and connected with my spirituality. And I was more just speaking from the inside, from my internal, and trying to connect with my ancestors that was there, just to, to get their approval, and not only to get their approval, but to also use me in a way, regardless of me having a script or not, but just shaping this story to tell it the way they want to tell it. Because there's a lot of a lot of them that was voiceless, couldn't speak. And we come into a time now where we can be vocally, we can speak our mind, and we can say what we want to say regardless of who feels whatever. But I wanted that to come from that, or that spiritual feeling, and I wanted to be able to use it in this film in any way that I could. So going back to the production end of it, we began to start shooting, and just like anything, when you step out there, very first time, because reminding you, this is my first film. I've learned it from everything I've learned. I learned from the very bottom and just had to grow from there. A lot of things I've learned from watching, things that was told to me from other videographers, and then a lot of other things was learned through off of YouTube. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I wasn't shy away from that. If it was something I didn't know, I pull it up and try to learn those things. But it was a lot of trials and error. My producer loved to use that word. We had a lot of trials and error, a lot of things. When we shot it, we look back at it and like, it need to have been done this way. But it was all trials and errors, and it was a purpose for all of this. So later on, I got a chance, and I end up buying more equipment. I end up buying some equipment, and I end up buying a lot of equipment. And this, I believe, coming into March, it was either the last month or the first week of March, where the pandemic began to start hitting real hard. And just remembering, like, we've been already been shooting for a year now, from 2019 to February 2000, so we've already been shooting, and everything kind of got shut down. Everything, the city, state, everything got shut down from all the historic parks. The director reached out to me, emailed me, didn't know when I can come back and shoot. They didn't have an answer. They told me, kind of gave me, it can be 3 months, it can be 6 months, it can be a year. So it was from there. I didn't know what to do. We was pretty much sitting on our hands, at a standstill. So I was just thinking like, oh man, I want to be continuing working on this. I need to be working on this, but I had no location. And my assistant basically, she knew of this other place that was in North Carolina, in Windsor, North Carolina, called the Hope Plantation. And from Somerset to Hope is about a good 20 to 30 minutes apart, I believe. And this is another known plantation. And this plantation basically was the home of a governor. His name was Governor David Stone. And got a chance of working some things out with their board and committee of trying to bring this film there. And I was willing to take in that risk of reshooting everything. Like, we've been shooting for a whole year. I was willing to take that risk of just reshooting everything just because of the location. And also, like I said, I've purchased more equipment. So I had a better camera than the camera I was using for up to that year. So the quality wouldn't match up if I would have brought in this other camera. So made a tough decision, said we're going to shoot it all again. So we got granted the location and we shot from the beginning to the end, Freedom of North Carolina. Throughout the process, from the very beginning, from 2019 to 2021, even now, me getting cast, I think it wasn't me. People that looked like me, I didn't think it would be hard at all. Films doesn't come out in my city, in my area that often. And people was very excited when I actually put out an audition for it. So we had a few people to come out and audition, and them that came out and we saw fit, we gave them a role. And I did have a concern that may have a little problem with, people that don't look like us may want to be involved because of this type of movie we're doing, and that's what I was thinking. Oh no, it was totally the opposite. We really got love. We really got support from out of the state of North Carolina, the people from different parts. And I began to kind of putting out what we was needing, and people would respond back. Some people was getting my contact, didn't know how they was getting it, and wanting to be a part of this phenomenal film, and this film is, like I say, it's a very, very touchy film, and now we have a cast a little over 30 people that was in the film, not even including extras. So we had a pretty big, nice size cast, man, for my very first film, but these guys was phenomenal. We grew to be family, regardless of their color or not. We didn't see color, even during the role, and what things that they had to say, we have a young lady by the name of Miss Tina, and she plays the actual, she's the, oh my man, mine's blanked out. She's not the overseer, but she is, she owns Hopperville, so she governs Hoppersville, and she's a plant owner, and she has little filthy words that she has to say that was in the script, and she was uncomfortable at first, but kind of learned and grew like, hey, this is part of art, I'm fine with it. I know exactly who I am, so it don't bother me. And we grew and we family, and we have fun, and we crack jokes, and and we don't take offense of it, because we know we are all, we're family, man. But the cast that I have, man, was a phenomenal cast, man. couldn't wish for any guys better. To be honest with you, these guys was very adapting. They was very open and very supportive. You know, these cats was coming out driving from other states to North Carolina, you know, just to be a part of this fam, taking time out their day away from their families, hours at a time, just for this fam. And I truly appreciate every last one of them,
Yes, and I guess they are here. So Alan Siski
man.
saying your family, uh, and complementing with freedom of NC family, and Prince is also saying here, yes, Sir Alan. So yeah, so I can imagine that they are involved and they are part of the movie of the cast. So I can feel a vibration. I can feel a, a family sense of unity and
Right,
pride
right.
of being a part of
Oh
this
yeah.
powerful project.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So things
I
about
tell them.
yeah.
Oh, I'm
So I
sorry.
just want to no, feel free. A couple of things I have about the movie. One of them is that you never actually told me about when can we see it, and the second
Okay.
one is that was it based on a true story of that family of those characters, or it was a fictional story inside a true context of slavery?
Gotcha. Well, the storyline itself is it's basically it's a fictional story. A lot of people ask, you know, because the family last name is the Joneses. You know, my last name is Jones as well. So, my sister and I, for many years, has been really just trying to find out a lot about my father's side of the family, and my father, in somewhat, he doesn't know besides his mother and his grandmother. We don't know, and it's always been that question mark, you know, of knowing my other side of history, my people. You know, like I said, I'm big on history, and I gave the last name from the Joneses to fill that void of this being my family, even though I don't know my other side of the family. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the Jones came from, of creating uh my reality of that side of that family. And you know, um going into the description, if I can, just before I give you the date and where it's going to be played at. It's basically it's about a family, you know, five brothers, one girl, and the mother named Rosa. The young girl is the lead actress. Her name is Sarah Jones. She's being played by Beatrice Reynolds. And she has this just she just has this just not this just imagination, but she just had this dream of one day seeing her family wanting, you know, to be free outside of this land. All she known of was this land. And she got a chance of, without telling you so much, but she got a chance of doing this particular risky mission. And if she fulfills this mission, that was going to be the key to their freedom off of that land. Um, but her family was totally against it. Her mother was totally against her. Her oldest brother, Sylvester, is being played. He's also my producer, Carmichael, was totally against it. Everyone was against it at first. And she tries to convince to them, this is what I have to do. We cannot continue to live this way. And eventually they kind of follow her lead. And it's all up to her to do what this mission to do. Very, very risky mission, but she was willing to do this mission. And I took a lot of this, of who Sarah is, from people like, well, she was out of West Africa. She was the queen at the time of the 15th century by the name of Amina. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she was a warrior. From me reading it, many Means, the soldiers, were scared of her because of how ruthless she was, and she ran. She basically ran her reign for so many years, and I love that story about Amina, and I gave that and applied that to Sarah. Harriet Tubman, I've loved her, her willingness and risk taking that she was taking, what she was doing for the runaways. And I kind of took that and applied that also to Sarah. So people is going to be able to see a bit of comparison if you know these icons. Shaka Zulu mother, I can't pronounce her name, but his mother was a very strong woman, and she knew what she knew. And I took a lot of her being smart, and I kind of added with Sarah. So people is going to see a mixture of these three icons within this little girl who is only 14 years old. So down the road, to make the story short, when they do take on this mission and they go and try to get to their freedom, instead of creating or a place as we all know of, like Harriet Tubman, where she would take the runaways up north. She would take them, places like Virginia, New York, Maine, even up in Maine, Canada. It's been places she took the runaways and sold them out to Canada. I didn't want to use those types of locations. I wanted to be very creative and to be able to use my imagination. Hollywood does it all the time, so why couldn't I? So I'm like, okay, and I came up with a place called the Land of Rieger. If you look up Regur, R-E-G-U-R, it means black soil. So I took the word and meaning of black soil and said, okay, the Land of Rieger. So when they get to this particular land called the Land of Rieger, they are shocked. They are a bit frightened because they don't understand what's going on this land. And what they see on this land is people that looks just like them, but they are dressed different. They don't see a white man on sight. Everything is totally governed by the black man. And what they see is totally what they know, totally different. Make the whole story short, coming into the Land of Rieger is where this family would gain everything that was lost to them. The people on this land has been waiting for Sarah and her family for years to come back to reclaim her throne. So therefore, she is the queen. Sarah, as we all know throughout the whole film, is Sarah, but her real name was stripped away from her. Her real name is Amina. And language, her culture, who they are, everything will be given back to them on the end of this film. And that's how we plan it out. We're pretty much going backwards. Even though I'm starting the beginning off with slavery, we're going backwards. So I'm kind of setting up for the second film, going backwards of who they really are. And to answer also your other question, the date we have set, it was set for Juneteenth, but due to at the time, the pandemic and the theaters having these restrictions, we moved it to October the 9th. Also, October the 9th is, I was told as well and kind of looked it up, was also the very beginning of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. So it does also still have meaning to it, because I wanted to release it in Juneteenth just because of the meaning of what Juneteenth truly means. And someone told me, hey man, October 9th, you know what October 9th mean? I was like, nah, It was like, I was like, for real. And I looked it up. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. October 9th is what it's going to be. So, October the 9th, it's going to be at the Turnish Theater. Um, and we right now we're still getting all the logistics done within the theaters. We're hoping to lock in more theaters in other cities and states. We're also looking into streaming this film as well worldwide, that it can be shown to all the people across the world. I'm kind of leaning on Amazon a little bit. So we're looking to maybe stream with them if everything comes out and pans out to be good on their end and then on our end if we see fit. But yeah, October the 9th is going to be the release of Freedom of North Carolina.
Those are exciting news, and we are looking forward. And please share with us so that we can share with our audience more news on that if you are streaming, so that we can also encourage our viewers to check it in Mozambique and in Portugal, in South Africa, in other parts of the world where we are viewed. So keep in touch about that, please. And the last part I wanted to, because you are thinking already about the second part, so that vision of the future. What other plans do you have? Are you a type of person to make long plans, long-term time or vision plans, or you have short vision plans?
Um, I I've I like more of long-term plans. A lot of time, I mean, if I get a vision, I write it down, and it's a lot of things that I want to do even after this, because a lot of people have been asking the same question about the second film, and I'm like, oh, I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm trying to get this film off the ground. But just to answer your question, yes, with the film that's coming after this, man, I'm definitely long terms of other great films that will be inspiring, empowering, motivating, liberating our people. That's all the film that I'm interested of doing. And I think we need to see more. You're beginning to see more from different directors as well. But the way I'm looking at it, a film that can really educate our people to think different, to change their minds, and to recreate their world, man. And film is a great to do it, because it's entertaining, it's entertainment. Music as well is another great way to do it, as well. So a lot of these people you see on behind me on these walls, man, a lot of them is living through me, and I'm using that and really using the platform of film and to be able to put out these great stories, man.
No, that's really powerful once again, and let me always also recommend people once again to follow you on social media, Freedom of NC on Instagram. So
Right.
follow James Jones to know more about this movie, about his work, get in touch, engage with him. So this is what we are here for. To all our viewers, don't forget to subscribe also. And if you want to become a Patreon, you also have a link here. So become a freestyler and be involved in our mission to create a platform to become a bridge of inspiration between Africa
Awesome.
and the world. This is what we are trying to do here. And also thanks again to Frederick Murphy for
Oh,
this
yes,
great
yes.
presentation. This is
Thank you.
one thing that really makes me pride is that when I get a former guest to recommend another guest, is because he or she feels as a part of our platform, a part of our
Right.
family. And the same way you and your cast have that feeling, I was really touched when Frederick told me that, hey, I have a very interesting guy that I think you should talk to. And that gave me a feeling that he felt good uh, here at
Right.
Freestyle Talks, and that he wanted also to put me in touch with an incredible man as you.
Right.
So
Yes.
it was an amazing conversation, James. And just because Alan is sending a final message saying the world will see this film, must see, very powerful movie. Uh, Thank you, Alan, and thank you everybody who interacted with us via chat. And James, my final words are of really appreciation and motivation. You are a really visionary man, and you are powerful and very interesting and motivated. And this path
Thank you.
of discovering who you are
Yeah.
will only lead you into great things. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
one very brave thing you did, and I know this as a creator myself, that thing of being brave enough to start the movie from scratch is
Yeah.
something that is very painful to a creator. So
Yeah.
you only do that if you truly love what you are doing and if you really believe in the strength of that message.
Right.
So
Right.
that was something really brave and powerful for a creator, and I salute you on that.
Thank
and
you.
and
Thank
thank you
you.
for your time. Thank you for your time and for being as you are. And you are always welcome at Freestyle Talks. So when you have
Thank
any
you.
projects, when you want to share something, feel free to pop up. Let us know
Thank you.
and we'll
Thank
make it.
you. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome.
So
Thank you
thank you very
for
much. And you have an incredible cast and you have a lovely family. So keep doing that.
most definitely.
So
Most
thank you.
definitely.
Thank you,
Thank
my
you.
man.
Thank you.
We
Thank
keep
you
in
for
touch.
having me. Take care. Be blessed.
Thank you. Thank you. So that was our conversation with James Jones. Very excited for this movie, Freedom of North Carolina, Freedom of NC. Um, so we recommend people once again to follow James on his social media. Um, and Prince is saying James was built for this. Alan is also thanking us. We thank you, Alan, and we thank everybody who joined in. So don't forget to click on subscribing our channel, sorry, to stay tuned to other interviews and other incredible talks we are trying to bring to you. And also to visit our website. It's brand new, freestyletalks.com. And if you want to support our platform, you can go to patreon.com slash freestyle talks. So we'll be back next week, again on Friday, with another conversation. We'll be talking with an hypnotist. He's from Angola in Africa. So it will be a very fascinating topic to know more about that world of hypnotism. So you are all invited once again to join in and let's know and find more and get inspired together. So we'll see you next week. Stay safe and be inspired and follow our guest, James Jones. And thank you very much. Bye.